Welcome to the deep dive. This week we're exploring something pretty interesting.
hmm
It's an educational initiative from Heerbeeck College called Dare to be Gray.
Right, yeah. Developed by Pascal Muller for, I think, third-year Lyceum students.
Exactly. And what really grabbed me is the goal. It's less about just, teaching facts
Mm.
and more about inspiring students to get informed themselves,
Yeah, absolutely. It tackles this idea that a lot of the big issues we face today,
like corona or immigration debates, things like that.
exactly, those kinds of things, they're not simple, they're not black and white,
Right.
and there's real value sometimes in it, holding off on having a really strong opinion straight away, acknowledging the gray.
Okay, so embracing the complexity and the program itself, it's a week-long, structured around a trip, is that right? To Ypres.
That's right. They prep for it by looking at polarization, propaganda, then the trip itself,
Uh-huh.
and finally, they dig into fake news.
Sounds pretty comprehensive.
They
So where do they start? With polarization.
Yeah, day 1 and 2. They kick off with a Dutch song, actually, Zwarte Piet by Frank Bojan.
Oh, okay. What's the message there?
Well, the key line translates roughly to don't think black, don't think white, don't think black, white.
But in the color of your heart.
Ah,
I remember that one. Powerful.
exactly. It sets the tone for thinking beyond simple binaries.
Which leads nicely into looking at propaganda, I suppose. How divisions get exploited.
Definitely. They look at how it works, especially its huge role during World War I and, well, the devastating outcomes.
And it's not just theoretical, is it? They watch some heavy stuff.
They do. Things like They Shall Not Grow Old, that Peter Jackson documentary,
Wow, yeah.
and a Dutch theater piece Shot, plus the film, 1917, gives different perspectives.
Right, different angles on the same conflict.
And then there's this really personal element. They do a workshop, make a poppy,
Right.
and each student researches a specific soldier, someone who died in the war and is buried at Tynkot Cemetery.
Wow, so they have their soldier. That must make it hit differently.
It really does. It grounds the history in an individual story.
And that connects directly to the trip then.
Yeah.
Day 3 in Ypres.
Yeah. They visit Tynkot, and they place the poppy they made on the grave of the soldier they researched.
That sounds incredibly moving.
It is. But there's another layer, too. They also visit Langmark,
Okay.
the German war cemetery. And they lay poppies there, too,
Oh, interesting. Why?
to acknowledge that, those soldiers were often victims, too, caught up in the Nazi regime later, or just victims of the war itself. It's about seeing the human cost on all sides.
That's a really thoughtful touch.
Yeah.
Broadens the perspective.
They also visit the Passchendaele Museum and attend the last post ceremony at the Meningate.
A very full, impactful day, it sounds like.
Definitely.
And then day 4, they switch gears a bit. Back to the present.
Sort of. They tackle fake news, but specifically how it fuels polarization today.
Ah, okay. Connecting the historical propaganda to modern misinformation.
Exactly. And it's hands-on. They don't just talk about it.
What do they do?
They actually create their own fake news articles.
Seriously?
Yeah, and they publish them on this internal website that tracks clicks, the group whose article gets the most hits. Well, they kind of win.
Huh. That's a clever way to show how easily this stuff spreads. And maybe how tempting it is to click.
It really drives the point home, how fast misinformation can travel online. It's a real eye-opener.
So stepping back from the whole week, this Dare to be Gray program,
Yeah.
what's the main thing you think listeners should take away?
I think it's really about critical thinking, using this deep dive into a historical conflict like WWI
Right.
to build the skills needed to navigate today's world, with all the noise and the polarization. That personal link to the soldier kind of anchors it all.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just abstract history or abstract media literacy. It's connected.
Exactly.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about how often we feel pushed to pick a side immediately. You see a headline, you hear a comment.
That instant reaction.
Right. But what if we consciously tried to, dare to be gray sometimes? Just for a bit longer.
Pause before forming that strong opinion.
Yeah. What might we actually gain by staying in that uncertain space while we, gather more info, listen a bit harder?
It could open up different ways of seeing things, couldn't it?
It really could. Something to think about.